Some manufacturers will build their locks to accept companies, other companies' cylinders, and some do not.
This is an aftermarket cylinder, and we'll pass it around so you can see what that's like.
Sometimes it's less expensive to buy a new lock than it is to have yours work done. It usually depends on the quality and the condition of the lock.
These are samples of manufacturer cylinders that we cannot replace with aftermarket cylinders. These are from Schlage.
Every manufacturer is different.
You cannot replace those?
Not with an aftermarket one. These are F-line Schlage. How they designed their new locks is that this knob is solid. It used to be in two pieces so we could take it apart. Now it's one piece, and so the top here where all the pins go is on a spring system. So you squish it down, you put it in the lock, and it pops back up again.
It's not that you can't get these cylinders, but the price of these cylinders, if you're going to pay $35 for a lock, you're going to pay $30 for the cylinder that goes in the lock. That's the way they work it.
And this
So
is
you're better off just buying a new lock.
And this is a quick set cylinder, which also we can't replace, just so you can see the differences.
Another.
It will work to keep the same cylinder if you will rekey it.
If you're going to stay with the
If you're going to
Schlage,
stay with the same key, that's another thing we're going to talk about, hopefully, if we have enough
How
time
do you
here.
remove this cylinder from?
Yes, you can remove that cylinder from the lock.
How do you remove it from?
How do you remove it?
the same process that he talked about before, where
Well,
you
not
push
exactly.
the detent in.
Not exactly. You have to have a key. I don't know if I have a key for this, but you have to have a key. It has to go in the cylinder. It has to be able to be turned, because the back of the cylinder is in the lock and it blocks something that won't let you take it apart. If you can't turn it, you are not going to get it off. Okay? You turn the key, and then the same thing with pressing down on the detent will take it off. But the key has to be, the cylinder has to be turned to a 90-degree turn.
Right.
My question is, how do you remove that cylinder? This cylinder, can you remove the cylinder from the lock?
That's what he's
That's what
trying
I
to
just
tell
explained,
you.
yes.
What he's trying to tell you is you take that lock with the key that operates it. You turn the key. It removes the obstruction so that you can push the detent in. Just like you have the inside knob, you have to push the detent in. On the outside knob, there's a tail that's in the way of the detent because you don't want anyone to be able to take your knob off.
Oh,
So only a person with a key can turn that tail so that you can push your detent in and pull the knob off. That's why we tell you that you always have to bring the key that operates the lock in order for us to rekey it, because we need to turn that tail out of the way so we can push the detent in and remove it.
Okay, like I said, you turn the key. It's easier when it's on the door, but you turn the key. I'm holding this so it doesn't spring back. Did you see it spring back? Let me do it again. Hold it, it'll spring back. I'm holding this so it won't spring back. And basically, yeah, where is it?
Oh, here.
The same way you took the back off, you take the front off. You gently depress that, and there it is. And here's the cylinder you wanted, sir. You bring that in, we'll rekey it.
With the key that opens it, that always helps.
I wanted to talk about deadbolts a little bit, and I also wanted to talk about the fact that every manufacturer is not the same.
You guys can pass this around.
The original manufacturers, like Schlage and Kwikset and some of the other better grade locks, will make almost anything you need for their locks. And there will be other companies that will make cylinders that will fit in their locks. But if you buy something that's a grade 3 or
Some grade 3s.
off-brand, okay, like Kimberly was saying about that 5-inch back set, okay, if you bought a Steel Pro lock, okay, you're not going to get a 5-inch back set from Steel Pro for that lock. A Kwikset will fit that steel lock because they're copying Kwikset. And if you want to rekey a whole house and they got all different locks, certain locks will take aftermarket cylinders and certain locks will not. So that's another point I wanted to bring up, so that if you bring in all your locks and you want to have them all keyed alike, you may end up buying a couple more cylinders or a couple more locks instead.
Leave your dog at home.
Your big mean dog.
And basically,
Or your big mean brother.
basically, there was a deadbolt.
That's a
out
good
there.
question. I'll address it in a minute.
Where's that? Oh, here it is. This is a Cal Royal lock,
Address that later.
and it takes a Schlage keyway. There is no way to put any other key in this lock, okay? The way it's designed, it's all one piece, okay? This is an arrow lock. And the knob sets are like this too, in certain cases. This is an arrow lock, and if you look at this screw right here, if I take this screw out, I can slide that cylinder out, slide somebody else's cylinder in, and put a different keyway in there if you want.
I'm going to walk around with it, just so people can, or you can pass it around there too.
Okay. What I wanted to talk about was deadbolts next, and deadbolts come in different varieties too, and different manufacturers, and also the three categories that there are more than three categories. Let me reiterate that. But the three most popular categories are exposed screw, non-exposed screw, and hidden or compressed. Okay? On this lock, this is a single cylinder deadbolt made by Schlage. This particular one, you need to take the faceplate off. We're going to have parts all over the table.
Brad?
You need to take the faceplate off. Which will expose the back, which has another two screws. Most of the locks out there are not like this. Most of the locks are more
See,
like
they have exposed.
they have exposed screws. And those two screws come out, and then the back comes out.
They go
Or the
directly
front-
right
the front,
into.
Yes. Okay. And then you take these screws out.
What's the purpose of them?
The purpose of these double screws,
Yeah, why didn't you?
I didn't manufacture the lock. There's no real.
You know what? Sometimes
It
it can
just-
be a little awkward getting a screwdriver near this thing that flips back and forth, the thumb turn, and so maybe they felt it was nicer for the customer.
Well, it also takes a couple seconds longer, and you can't just reach in and unscrew two screws. You have to unscrew four now. And you got to be able to get to it. And it's just a different design, basically. This comes out. This comes out. This is a shield guard on this lock. Not every lock has that, but it's made so someone can't go to the front of this lock, okay, and puncture a hole in the door or dig a hole in the door. They hit this. Because what they're trying to do is grab this piece in here and throw this bolt. I'm not throwing it, but you get the point, though, I hope. There is a way of doing this. It's not throwing, but anyway, that's...
Pull unlock the
Yeah, it could. Okay. The hidden screws that I was talking about. Where's the? Oh, for instance, you do see. You do see two holes in this lock.
And this is the inside portion.
This is the inside portion, and most of the time in a deadbolt, the bolts will be, yeah, almost every time in a deadbolt, the bolts will be on the inside. okay? Sometimes in the older ones, you'd find one screw on the inside and one screw on the outside, but not anymore. And in order to get to the screws, to get this out, you need a key, because this key lets you turn the faceplate. I don't know if you can see that, so as to get to the screws to take this out. Now there are some deadbolts on the market, we don't have one here, that even you have to go through, you have to take the plate off of this. And when you take the plate off of this, you need an Allen wrench to go down in here to get to the set screws that holds the cylinders in the lock. But that again is a different issue.
Thank you.
This other lock, for instance, okay, the older locks used to make a cover face and put 2 screws in, just like it is here, okay? And then they used to take little T plugs and jam them into the Phillips screws. And you would have to pry them out in order to change the lock. This one is taped like this on purpose because this is a modern one. This one has a little notch in it, and basically it snaps on, pushes tight, okay, and now you don't have screws. They're non-exposed. But to get this off, you've got to pry it very, very carefully if you need to
It's
put
a
it
little
back
bit
on
of a
again.
pain in the butt,
Yeah,
honestly.
that's why I didn't put it on. But basically, those are
life-
non-exposed screws.
Need a new piece of tape.
Yeah, it'll be all right for now. All right, and that covers basic deadbolts.
How would we know that those are the hidden screws? How do we know? Because you don't see them both sides?
Because you don't see them, they're hidden, yes.
Right. It's from
Yes.
the inside. It's just
from
like
the
with the
inside
knobs
only.
or the deadbolts from the
from the
inside. If you
inside,
don't
yes.
see the screws, then there's going to be some other way for you to get to the screws.
Sometimes in other locks, and there is one that does that, it's called Medico, there'll be a flat plate. It'll be indented slightly, and there'll be a little teeny wire ring. You put the flat plate in, you snap the ring in, and then you got to dig the little wire plate out.
Which is also not fun.
Yes, to get that off, to get to the screws to take it off. This is a jimmy-proof lock, okay? And that's the other thing we wanted to talk about. Jimmy-proof locks, for one, it's a surface-mounted lock, okay? They always take a rim cylinder, and rim cylinders have a fixed tail, okay? This, yeah, I know. Right where? What are you talking
The
about?
lazy motion.
Oh, yeah, all right. This is also a surface-mounted lock. It takes a rim cylinder. This is also a surface-mounted lock. It takes a rim cylinder. All of these locks and these operate with a fixed tail. When you stick a key in here, there's no key for this, but when you stick a key in here, this tail will turn with the key, okay? These kind of locks are through the door deadbolts, okay? You cannot mix these. These have what they call a lazy tail. And by lazy tail, I mean you can move this, okay? You can move this because when you put your tail, when you put your back on, you're able to open and close the bolt, because that's able to move. If this was put on a fixed tail, without a key, you couldn't move this.